right, so today we're taking a deep dive into the career of Callum Turner. You know him, right? Theseus Scamander from the Fantastic Beasts films.
Oh, definitely.
But there's way more to him than just that. We've got articles, interviews, the whole shebang.
Oh, wow.
And the big question we're trying to figure out is he like carefully building this image or just going with the flow, choosing roles that speak to him?
Interesting. Well, his background could definitely give us some clues.
For sure.
The sources we have, they paint this picture of his childhood in Chelsea, which is kind of fascinating. I mean, Chelsea, it's all about affluence. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
But he was raised on a council estate,
Right.
which makes you think about his upbringing, more of a working class environment,
Yeah, that's not your typical Hollywood, like, rags to riches story.
Not at all.
And then there's his mom, a nightclub promoter.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly the classic stage mom pushing him into the spotlight.
Right, right.
But one thing that pops up over and over is how she exposed him to, like, tons of films when he was a kid.
Oh, wow. I bet that had a huge impact. I mean, he even talks about how The Lion King, that really captured his imagination when he was young.
Oh, that's so sweet.
But then he goes on about these films by Scorsese and Danny Boyle.
Yeah.
And how they showed him the power of, like, raw emotion on screen.
It's almost like those early movies shaped his taste. Or even, like, the kind of career he ended up pursuing. Speaking of which, before acting, he was a successful model.
Mm-hmm.
Like, big time. Burberry campaigns, shooting with Mario Testino.
The top of his game.
Exactly. So why would he switch to acting?
Well, there's this interview where he talks about wanting to go deeper, like explore storytelling in a more meaningful way. It seems like modeling was all about image for him.
Yeah.
But with acting, he could actually become part of the story, connect with something more substantial.
He could easily just, rode the whole model turned actor wave, just coasted on his looks.
For sure.
But his first role was in this little indie film, Zero. And then almost right after that, he gets a part in a John Boorman film, Queen and Country.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty bold move for someone just starting out.
Talk about a jump.
Yeah, and working with John Boorman, that's not nothing. He's got this very specific directorial style, long takes, deep focus. Really pulls you into the character's world.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And he's amazing at visual storytelling, conveying all these complex emotions through the way he frames the shots, the composition.
Wow.
Choosing to work with someone like Boorman so early on, that tells you something. Town was looking for depth, not just fame.
Yeah, it's like he was deliberately picking things that would push him, not just be the handsome guy in a movie.
Exactly. And that pattern keeps going as you look at his other roles. He plays Theseus in Fantastic Beasts, the dependable brother.
Right.
But then there's Glue, this gritty British miniseries. He's a farm boy, super troubled.
Oh, right. It's interesting how he bounces between these huge fantasy movies and these smaller, more character-driven projects.
Makes you wonder if he's trying to avoid getting typecast, right? Showing off his range.
Totally. Like, hey, I can do more than just be a heartthrob.
Exactly. And then you've got The Only Living Boy in New York.
Yeah.
Again, all these tangled relationships, fathers, mentors, the whole thing. This theme keeps coming up in the roles he picks.
It does.
Makes you wonder if it's connected to his own upbringing, maybe? Seeing his mom handle everything on her own in a pretty tough environment. Maybe that made him interested in these characters who are, like, struggling with tough choices, especially within their families.
That's a good point. It's like
almost as if he's drawn to stories that explore those family ties, the complexities of it all, Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, totally. And that leads us right into his upcoming projects. It's getting even more interesting. There's this sci-fi thriller, Atropia.
Oh, yeah.
Directed by Sarah Goldstein. She's been making waves lately.
She has.
And it's set in this, like, dystopian future.
Yeah.
Humanity's facing some pretty big questions.
Yeah.
And Callum, he plays a soldier caught right in the middle of it.
This film, it could be massive for him. The kind of role that really shows what he can do, establishes him as a, like, sci-fi leading man.
Totally.
Plus, Goldstein, she's known for these visually stunning films. They really make you think. Like, imagine Arrival meets Blade Runner.
Whoa.
It's a smart move for him to team up with her.
Definitely seems strategic. Goes back to that question, right? Is he carefully planning all this out? And speaking of strategic, we got to talk about Hedda. Modern take on Ibsen's play.
Oh, wow.
And get this, it's directed by Greta Gerwig.
No way.
With Anya Taylor-Joy.
That's some serious art house cred.
Talk about a leap from Fantastic Beasts. He's really balancing things out. Blockbuster appeal over here, indie street cred over there.
For sure. And don't forget rosebush pruning. That's a psychological thriller.
Oh, right. And Eternity, a romantic comedy.
This guy, he does not want to be put in a box. Seriously. But with all this focus on his career, it makes you wonder, how does his personal life fit into all of this? You know, we can't just ignore, well, the elephant in the room. He's engaged to Dua Lipa.
Oh, yeah. Talk about a power couple.
Seriously. What's interesting is how they kept things so under wraps, at least in the beginning.
They did, yeah.
And then, bam, Glastonbury debut, Christmas proposal, New Year's Eve engagement party. It's like they're controlling the narrative.
Very much on their own terms. But there's more to him than just the Hollywood scene, you know?
Yeah.
The pop star world. One thing that really stood out in the research was his commitment to philanthropy. Lifelong Chelsea FC supporter. He's really involved in their community programs.
Oh, that's cool.
And he's a big advocate for mental health awareness. He talks openly about his own struggles, encourages others to do the same.
That's refreshing to see.
Definitely.
Yeah.
He's using his platform to, like, make a difference, break down stigmas. Totally. It adds another layer to his image. He's not just focused on his own career. He's using his influence for good. Makes you think about the kind of roles he might be drawn to next.
Absolutely. Maybe stories that deal with social issues.
Yeah.
Or characters dealing with, you know, mental health challenges.
Oh, I love that.
Could be. It raises the question, will his relationship with Dua Lipa, she's also known for her activism and philanthropy, will that push him even more to use his platform for good?
It's a good question.
Could they end up collaborating on projects with a social impact message? It's an interesting thought.
That would be amazing. Imagine the reach they would have.
Exactly. Even if they don't officially work together on something, their shared commitment to these causes, it could definitely influence the stories they choose to tell.
Yeah. Makes you realize an actor's personal life, their values, it all feeds into their creative choices.
Definitely. And I think that's what makes Callum Turner so interesting. We see this young guy figuring out Hollywood, balancing the big blockbuster stuff with the indie scene, and he's using his voice to stand up for things he believes in. It's quite a journey.
It really is. He's kind of breaking the mold of the typical Hollywood actor.
He's not just following the script, so to speak. He's making his own way, trusting his gut, choosing projects that feel authentic to him.
Which brings us back to our original question.
Yeah.
Is he carefully crafting an image or just following his passions?
Well, based on what we've seen so far, it's probably a bit of both, wouldn't you say? He's making smart choices, the kind that will boost his career.
Right.
But he's also not afraid to take risks, choose projects that challenge him, that align with what he believes in.
It's that mix of ambition and authenticity that makes him so interesting.
Definitely. He's not just talented. He seems to genuinely want to use his platform to do some good in the world.
Yeah, totally. And with that in mind, let's shift gears a bit. We haven't really talked about his early days as a model.
Right.
It's easy to just see it as a stepping stone to acting. But I think there's more to it than that.
You're right. Modeling, especially at the level he was at, it takes a lot of discipline. You know,
Yeah.
Professionalism, you got to be able to handle rejection, adapt to new situations all the time.
It's a tough world.
And those skills, they definitely carry over to acting, especially in Hollywood, with all the pressure.
Plus, let's not forget, he was the face of Louis Vuitton Men's Spring 2025 collection. That's not just about looking good.
Not at all.
It's about embodying a brand, projecting a certain image, connecting with an audience.
Exactly. And when you think about it, acting is kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Different platform, but you're embodying a character, conveying emotions, connecting with the audience through the story.
So maybe his modeling career wasn't just a means to an end. Maybe it actually helped him,
Yeah.
prepared him for the acting world.
It's an interesting way to look at it. Sometimes those detours, those unexpected turns, they end up shaping us the most.
Wow, we've covered so much. His childhood, modeling, becoming an actor, his big roles, what's coming up next, his personal life, even his, charity work.
Yeah.
It's been quite a ride.
It really has. And you know what strikes me? Even with all this info, there's still this mystery around him.
Yeah, there is.
We've seen glimpses of his drive, his talent, his values.
Right.
But I kind of feel like we're just scratching the surface.
I get that. There's this depth to him,
Yeah.
It's hard to pin down, even after all these articles and interviews. Makes you want to see what he does next, how he keeps, evolving.
Exactly. That's what makes it so interesting. We've, peeled back some layers, but there's still so much we don't know. So much potential. It keeps you hooked.
So for everyone listening, Why should you care about Callum Turner's journey? What's the takeaway?
Well, I think it shows you that success isn't always a straight line. It's not about following some preset path, you know?
Right.
Sometimes it's about trusting your gut, taking risks, being willing to change direction.
And it proves that being intentional matters. Callum didn't just luck into this. He made choices, he found opportunities, and he surrounded himself with people who, pushed him and inspired him.
And maybe the most important thing is it reminds us that everyone has a story. Even people who seem like they have it all figured out are still, figuring things out.
So true. His story's still unfolding, and it's going to be exciting to see where it goes. We talked about him maybe taking on roles with the social message, even working with Dua Lipa on projects that fit their values.
Yeah, and as he gets more and more recognition, it wouldn't surprise me if he uses his platform even more to champion certain causes.
Yeah.
He's already doing stuff with Chelsea FC's community programs and speaking out about mental health, but I think we might see him tackle even bigger issues.
Now that he's, globally recognized, will he use that to really make a difference?
It'll be interesting to see. His choices in the next few years, that's what'll tell us.
And that's what makes him so fascinating to watch.
Exactly. He's not just an actor. He seems to genuinely want to use his position to do good.
For sure. So to everyone listening, keep your eye on Callum Turner. Check out his upcoming films, especially Atropia and Hedda.
Definitely.
Pay attention to the choices he makes, both in his career and his life. And maybe, just maybe, you'll find some inspiration in his journey, some encouragement to, blaze your own trail and make a difference.
Because in the end, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
Using what we've got, our talents, our passions, to leave the world a little better than we found it.
That's a perfect way to wrap things up. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.